हेलो एवरीवन, जय हिंद एंड वेलकम टू द प्लेटफॉर्म ऑफ श्रीराम IAS। आप सभी का स्वागत है श्रीराम IAS के प्लेटफॉर्म पर। एंड टुडे विल बी टॉकिंग अबाउट हाउ यू कैन कंट्रोल द टाइड ऑफ योर यूपीएससी इंटरव्यू। आप कैसे अपने यूपीएससी इंटरव्यू की टाइड या फिर उसका जो टर्न है उसको आप कंट्रोल कर सकते हैं, एंड यू कैन गाइड इट थ्रू योर आंसर्स। यहां पर मैं आपको एक चीज बता दूं कि व्हेन इट कम्स टू द इंटरव्यू, ठीक है, कोई भी इंटरव्यू है, वेदर इट इज यूपीएससी इंटरव्यू दैट यू आर गिविंग, और या फिर आप किसी भी इंटरव्यू में जाते हैं, वेदर इट इज कॉर्पोरेट इंटरव्यू, वेदर इट इज द एसएसबी इंटरव्यू वेयर यू आर सिटिंग इन फ्रंट ऑफ द इंटरव्यूइंग ऑफिसर, कोई भी आपका ऐसा इंटरव्यू है, वहां पर जो आपके आंसर्स होते हैं, ठीक है, उन्हीं आंसर्स से फिर आगे का जो टर्न है वो आपका डिसाइड होता है कि व्हाट दी सप्लीमेंट्री क्वेश्चंस विल बी आस्क्ड इन द टर्म्स ऑफ द पॉलिटी। अगर मैं बात करूं तो सप्लीमेंट्री क्वेश्चंस ही होते हैं जो आपसे पूछे जाते हैं, एंड द नेक्स्ट सेट ऑफ द क्वेश्चंस दे आर डिसाइडेड बाय द आंसर्स यू गिव, एंड अल्टीमेटली the sharper your answers will be, the easier it will be to turn the tide of the UPSC interview, और आसानी से आप अपने पूरे इंटरव्यू को गाइड कर सकते हैं। और ये जानेंगे मेरे साथ। माय नेम इज भवर सिंह सरोया, आई एम XNDA 115th कोर्स एंड आई क्वालिफाइड फॉर सिविल सर्विसेज इन 2012। ऑलराइट, तो यहां पर बात करूंगा मैं आपका कि किस तरीके से आप पूरे इंटरव्यू के कमान अपने हाथ में ले सकते हैं। Now, the myth is, हम हमेशा ये सोचते हैं कि the board controls everything in the interview room, but this is actually not the reality. The reality is a well-prepared candidate, he can control, or he controls 60 to 70% of the interview through structured and even intelligent answers. तो यहाँ पर मैं जो आपसे कह रहा था, ठीक है, this is the art, alright, when it comes to interview, alright, although जब आप जाते हैं, your interview is taken. Alright, but at the same time, if you learn this art, अगर आपको ये आर्ट समझ में आ जाती है, आप इस आर्ट को लर्न कर लेते हैं, तो आपका जो पूरा इंटरव्यू है वो आप खुद गाइड कर सकते हैं, एंड अल्टीमेटली यू विल आल्सो नो कि व्हाट द नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन विल कम फ्रॉम द बोर्ड मेंबर। ठीक है, सो व्हाट कंट्रोल रियली मीन्स, यहां पर मैं कंट्रोल की बात कर रहा हूं, व्हाट दिस एक्चुअली मीन्स इज इट इज नॉट dominating, you are not overpowering the panel, ठीक है, and do not ever overpower the panel as well, it is not arguing as well, ठीक है, you are not to challenge the boards directly, or the board members directly, and it is also not showing off where you skip unnecessary displays of the knowledge. So ultimately it is not taking that control, alright, it is not control. Control is basically where you are guiding the flow of the interview subtly in your favor, and you know what set of the questions will be asked next after giving the answers. Now the board will follow your lead, alright, but at the same time, why the board follows your lead? So the panel appreciates the candidates who demonstrates that they have the administrative qualities. Alright, you stay calm under the pressure. Alright, you stay calm under the pressure. This is the one of the first qualities that they will be looking forward, that there are composure signals, and these signals, they show the maturity of the candidate and the readiness for facing the administrative challenges. At the same time, there is structured thinking. You are giving the organized responses, and that will reflect that you have systematic approach to the problem solving as well. You have a crystal clear communication as well, where you have a precision in the expression, and that will demonstrate that you have officer level communication skills, and also you have the administrative mindset, जहां पर आपकी पॉलिटी और पॉलिसी रिलेटेड जो आपका थिंकिंग है, that will show the readiness for the civil services responsibilities that will be you will be filling in. So these qualities, they naturally want, or they naturally lead the panel to follow your instructions, to follow your pace, and even the direction that you will set in. The power is of the hooks. There are certain hooks that you will leave in the answers, and ultimately the board will be propelled to catch those hooks, and there would be next set of the series of the questions that you will be deciding. It will not be board, but it will be you who will be deciding this. Now I can tell you that how these hooks work. These hooks are the strategic elements in the answers that will invite the next set of the questions. Like for example, I developed interest in decentralization during my field project in the rural government. Now over here there are three hooks that you have created. Alright, the first hook is decentralization. So you have developed interest in decentralization, where you have interest, you have field project, and we are talking about the decentralization as well. So ultimately interest, decentralization and field project, that is from where the next set of the questions will be. The board will ask about, okay, if you have the interest in decentralization, tell me more about decentralization, or they will be asking about the grassroots decentralization or the panchayat as well as the municipalities. So next set of the questions will be on decentralization, your interest. All right, they will be looking forward for some case studies as well. All right, at the same time, when you are saying field projects, they may ask you to elaborate over this field project that you worked in rural governance as well. All right, or they may ask something about the rural government. So ultimately, if you are saying this sentence during your interview, you are guiding the next set of the questions. There would be potential follow-up questions that, and ultimately if you are saying something, then you have to be prepared for those next follow-ups as well. Now these hooks will help you. They will help you to navigate to your strength, where you will bring the interviewer into the areas where you excel. All right, you will leave these hooks when you are giving the answers. So ultimately क्या होगा? They will be asking the questions from where you excel and have a deep knowledge. All right, they will avoid random grilling. All right, so ultimately what happens is, if we are not using these hooks, so now the board is free to ask anything from anywhere, and ultimately that leads to grilling as well, not graveling. So ultimately you will avoid the random grilling, because now you know what the flow of the next set of the questions will be. Also, you will be able to create a predictable conversation with the board members, where now you know that what kind of the questions will be asked next, and also you will be able to guide the panel gently. All right, it will not be a forced guidance. You will be able to create a sense of by the hooks. There would be sense of कि ये इसके बारे में पूछते हैं. So ultimately there are hooks. You are leaving those hooks, and now they will be propelled to answer or ask the questions related to what you have answered, and let the hooks in the answers. Now there could be different types of hooks that you can place. The hooks can be related to your home state. All right, regional expertise or the local governance understanding that you have developed. It could be related to your optional subject as well. All right, from from where you have chosen the optional subject, and you have a disciplined knowledge about that particular subject, or the practical insights from the professional engagements as well. Along with this, social awareness or grassroots understanding, if you have worked for something and you have volunteered for such kind of projects. All right, so you can leave those hooks. Also, you can leave hooks for educational background and research interest as well. You can leave hooks for your personal interest that reveal the character, and this character must, it must align with the administrative morals and even the ethics. So therefore, you can leave the hooks for the hobbies as well. Along with this, projects where you had hands-on implementation experiences, or the internship where you have exposure to the administrative environment, where you have learned the administrative ethics and ethos, as well as any kind of awards, recognition or achievements. So you can leave these type of hooks that you can place in the answers, and ultimately now you know that the question will be asked. Suppose I have left something about my volunteering, so I know that now the next set of the questions will be on volunteering that I did. So over here I'm guiding the interview. So that is how you can guide the interviews. All right. Now when we are giving a structured answers, so that will lead to control over the conversation or the complete interview flow, how the flow of the interview will be guided. So ultimately the board will love these structured responses. Now there are certain simple formulas that you can use. All right, that is, you can give 2-point answers. All right, they have to be 2 dimensions. First it is this, and the second it is this one. Or it could be a problem and solution oriented, that the challenge is this and this, but however the approach could be this. So I am giving the solution as well along with the problem. Or you can structure the answer in past, present and future. Or you can structure it at different levels, at the local level, at the national level and at the global level. So these are the structured answers that the boards will love. 2-point answers where we are giving different dimensions, or problem along with the solution, or past, present and future, or different levels, whether it is local, national and even global. But however, whenever you are answering, always take 2 to 3 second pause. You have to answer, alright, but before answering, take this pause, alright, and ultimately, when you are taking this pause, this is again communicating a very much powerful message to the board members, and that is that I think before I speak. Alright, so that shows that you are thoughtful and also shows that you have that administrative maturity as well. It slows the pace as well, where you are creating a measured and deliberate rhythm to the interview. And also it gives you the control, alright, where the tempo is not reactive, but it is in reflective mode. So that is why it is important to take these pauses before answering. Now you have to connect the answers to the strength areas. That is, again, it is very, very important. Like for example, I'll give you the example. The question is, what are the challenges in police reform? And over, you are answering this. And suppose you have structured the answer in such a way, so police accountability is crucial. I observed something related to about it during my district internship, where community policing improved trust. Now, over here you have spoken about your internship or a district internship. Now the board will move to your that experience, all right, and ask you to share your strong as that is where you will be strong. You will be prepared because now over here you are living the hook about your district internship. So this technique, it transforms the difficult questions, all right, and it transforms it into where you can have a kind of intuition that what kind of the questions, next set of the questions would be asked from me. Now these are certain phrases that will help you in guiding the interviews. You can practice incorporating these phrases into your responses. Like for example, and this connects to or with my work with any company that you have worked with or any organization. And this is something I observed closely in wherever you have observed, district study or your internship, or this relates to my interest in your optional subject, public administration, or which I explored during my optional subject research. So these phrases, they will subtly guide your interview into the direction in which you want it to be. Alright, now over here, you also have to have an administrative mindset as well. Alright, that is where you shift from being a student to the mindset or to the, a probable future officer. Now, a student will give a response in this manner. Waste management is important for cleanliness. Yes, it is important. We all know. But an administrative response would be somewhat like this. Waste management requires three-pronged approach. That is implementation mechanism, municipal capacity building, and behavioral change communication. Now, over here, you can see how these two responses, they shift from a student response to an administrative response. Whatever you have studied till now, whatever you have written till now, that was your student response. But you have to show that you have the administrative capability, and that is why you have to structure your responses into an administrative mindset, and that is what impresses the panel and establishes your intellectual framework as a person who is policy oriented. At the same time, you have to keep your tone calm and steady as well, because your tone will set the interview pace. Alright, you have to speak calmly along with, the panel will become calm when you speak calmly, and your pace will become their pace as well. So you have to be steady. Your composure have to be proper, alright, cool and composed. And whenever you are maintaining a steady as well as measured delivery, so that will set the pace for the entire interview that you will be going forward. Now, wherever we have weak questions, you have to redirect them gracefully. Alright, so when you are uncertain about certain things or the question that had been asked from you, so over here you can redirect the questions or redirect your answers gracefully, and wherever you do not know anything, acknowledge, alright, acknowledge it honestly. Alright, just say, sir, I do not recall the exact figure. Alright, or you can say, at the same time, if you do not recall the exact figure, you can say, but I can explain the broader significance and its policy implication. Alright, so what you have done, acknowledged it honestly that you do not know the exact figure, but at the same time, in a broader sense, you can explain it. You can explain the significance and the progress or the policy implications of whatever the subject matter had been asked to you in the interview. Alright, and then you have to return to the safe territory. You have to focus on the concepts, on the frameworks and administrative approaches that you know well, and do not bluff. That is again very, very important thing that happens many a times. Because after reading so much, after gaining so much of knowledge, yes, I will say that we cannot have knowledge about everything in the world. So there are certain gray areas where we will not have the knowledge, but we will think that, oh, I have studied, I will bluff what these people know. And this is one of the mistakes that happens continuously. Please do not bluff in your interview. That is very, very important. Now, you can use conceptual anchors as well, just like the hooks. You can use these conceptual anchors as well wherever you are stuck or you are uncertain about any of the answer that you are giving in, and ultimately that will lead to the foundational figures or the pillars that you have. Alright, so whenever you do not know the answers, you can anchor your answers to these ultimate pillars of the administration or the foundation, that is constitution. You can talk about the constitutional values and the fundamental rights, the policy execution where you are talking about the implementation challenges and solutions, or the governance where you can talk about the administrative mechanisms and systems, and the ethics where you can talk about the moral framework and the value systems as well. Alright, so you can use these conceptual anchors as well. And always use forward-looking sentences. Now, when I am talking about forward-looking sentences, I am saying that this is the present. Alright, we are talking about current challenges and immediate challenges or the concerns. Then, and this would be crucial in how many decade? Next decade. Like, we can then lay down the long-term policy framework implications, and that is again, a way where you can propel the complete interview into your safe zone or safe territory. Like for example, when we are talking about the digital literacy. So it's not just about the current needs. You will say digital literacy is not just about the current needs, but it will be crucial in the India's next decade of development, especially in the governance delivery. Now, I know what the next questions will be. The next questions will be majorly about the governance delivery mechanisms, alright, or it can be about the different challenges which we are facing when it comes to the digital literacy as well. So ultimately, if you are answering anything, if anything comes out of your mouth, so the next set of the questions will be on what you are saying, and there will be several hooks, and if you use these hooks judicially, alright, towards the subject matter that you know, so the next set of the questions, they will be yours to answer. Alright, so that you have to remember. Now, always answer in short paragraphs. Do not give long speeches. Why I am saying? This is because when you give short answers, that gives you control. Alright, that also force the panel to ask more. There would be more supplementary questions that would be asked, alright, the follow-up questions that would be asked, and it will reduce the attack surface, ultimately keep you in the driver's seat where you can propel your complete interview according to yourself. But at the same time, if you are giving long answers, so with the long answers, it will give board kind of ammunition, because now the board can ask from anything, anywhere that you have, that is your strong area, or it may be even your weak area, and that will create tangential hooks. Alright, ultimately that will dilute the key messages, and you will lose the complete control of the interview that you wanted to have. So therefore, always keep your answers in short paragraphs, just 3 to 5 lines maximum, and ultimately by this, the brevity will demonstrate that you have confidence and even strategic thinking that is crucial for being an administrator. Now, I have told you this even before, that you have to know about your DF, because when it comes to the interview, about 70% of the interview will be based upon your DF. Alright, although over here it's written 90%, but I am not saying 90%, it will be about 70% that your interview will be DF driven, and ultimately those students, those candidates who score more during the interview, they know everything, every detail about their DEF and they stick to their DEF. Alright, and also if every DEF section, if you'll go through it, you'll find that there would be certain kind of questions that could be made and that would be asked from you. I'll be taking a complete series on how you can decode your DEF and then you can know what different sets of questions can the interview panel can ask. So ultimately that gives you a control opportunity over here after knowing the complete DEF, and you have to master every entry that you have made. Your every hobby, every project, experience and academic detail, because there would be questions that would be asked from here. Then you can use your hobbies that you have mentioned to guide the interview. Over here, like for example, when you are saying you have written reading books, instead of saying my hobby is reading, you are saying my hobby is reading, I read especially biographies of administrators because it helps me to see or to understand how to make decision under pressure. So when you are saying these words over here, what you are doing, you will be asked about different sets of questions, and you know what different sets of questions would be. You are saying that you are reading and especially biographies of administration. So over here the possible set of questions that could be asked. What was the last autobiography that you read? Give it summary in about 10 minutes or just summarize it so that we can know what all was there in the book. Alright, and maybe you may be asked about certain instances from where you have learned or you have understood about the decision making under the pressure. So that is how you can use your hobbies even to guide the interview as well. Now you have to frame hobbies strategically. The first and foremost thing is, and then you have to connect it to the administrative context, and ultimately the panel asks about the books. If I have used reading as my hobby, and this discussion will flow to leadership, to decision making, and ultimately I'll be all safe with the prepared topics that I have written in the DEF or detailed application form. Now, when it comes to the interview, alright, we can also guide it back to our experiences as well. Alright, like for example, this is something that I observed firsthand during my rural internship. Or this is something, or this aligns with what I learned while volunteering with the grassroots organizations. Or I witnessed this challenge during my district study on local governance. So over here, I am asking the board to ask about my experiences, because the civil servants, they learn through their experiences. Alright, and this principle can be used strategically as well. When I am using these phrases, that will again bring myself back to the familiar territory that I am familiar with, whether it is the rural internship, whether it is my volunteering work, or it is the district study. So where we have the concrete examples, we have the complete understanding. So there I am propelling the complete interview towards it again. But over here, when we are talking about this, always remember that when we are talking about the experience-based answers, alright, that carries the authenticity along with the theoretical knowledge, and when we are talking about the first-hand experiences, when we are talking about experienced, instances, so ultimately that will have more weightage as compared to the theoretical knowledge that I will be able to portray in front of the board. Alright, now whenever there would be interruptions, and ultimately there would be interruptions as well. You will be answering something and you will be interrupted. Okay. Now tell me about this. Alright, so there would be board member who will be interjecting you or interrupting you in between. So over here, you have to pause. Alright, you have to pause momentarily and maintain a warm smile and let that board member continue speaking. Alright, over here, afterwards, when the board member have spoken, then you have to continue speaking with the gentle confidence in the context. If the context has been changed by the board member, then you have to answer in that context, and if not, then you can continue speaking whatever you were telling to the board. So this technique will maintain your authority without appearing defensive or stubborn as well. So that is what you have to remember. But at the same time, when I told you that you can take control or you can guide the interview, do not control or never attempt to control the interview aggressively. Alright, you will not dominate the panel. You will not try to overpower the board members and create resistance and thus damage your rapport. You will also be not there to lecture or debate. Please understand these things. Alright, you will not be lecturing or debating in any circumstances because if you are confronting them, so that will be undermining your credibility as well as your professional image, and also there would be or there should not be long monologues. Excessive talking that signals that you are insecure and ultimately that loses the interest of the audience as well. So when it comes to these attempts, never attempt these things. A subtle guidance is required but not forceful direction. That you have to remember, you have to understand that this is how you win the room and you win the interview as well. Alright, when the panel will follow you, you will know about it. There will be certain signs where you'll come to know that now my guidance is working. I am guiding the interview. Alright, there will be certain signs that you will be seeing when you are, whenever you are answering, and ultimately the board will ask the follow-up questions. So there will be follow-up questions that will be built on your previous answers, and then you will know now it is me who is guiding the interview and not the vice versa. At the same time, there will be a theme alignment. They will be staying within your strong areas and they will not be asking the questions from your weak areas. And also they will elaborate or they will ask for the elaboration. There would be request for elaboration. They will ask you or they will invite you to elaborate whatever the answer that you have given. And also there would be a smooth conversation. आपको लगेगा ही नहीं कि इंटरव्यू चल रहा है, you are getting grilled. ऐसा लगेगा एक normal conversation है that is flowing in a very smooth transition, and that is how you come to know that the panel is following your guidance. Now, when it comes to the art of answer closure, whenever you are closing the answer, so again, there is an important thing, and that is called a strategic ending technique. So, whenever you are concluding any answer, it has to have a purposeful direction, and that direction should guide the next question. Like for example, and this is where administrative coordination matters most. Right? Now you are getting gist कि हाँ कैसे आपका interview पूरा guide होता है. Alright, so the board will now continue in your chosen domain or direction where the topics will be asked from the matter that you excel. Alright, so that is how you have to end the answers. That is the art of answer closure, and ultimately you will be staring without even appearing to be manipulative. So that is what you need to understand, that this is how. ये बिल्कुल वैसा ही है जहां पर कि मेरे को पता है कि नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन क्या होगा, लेकिन वो नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन को टू प्रोपेल इट और वो नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन उनसे पूछूं, मेरे को अपने आंसर्स को वैसे फ्रेम करना है और यही आपको सीखना है. ठीक है. एंड व्हेरेवर यू गेट स्टक, ऑलराइट, सपोज you have been asked about, in foreign policy or foreign relation, you had been asked about, suppose, Israel and Palestine issue. Alright, if you are asked about Israel and Palestine issue and you do not know about Middle East, but at the same time you are saying, I'm very sorry sir that I have not read about Israel and Palestine, but at the same time I read about, the relationship between India and USA, or I read about, another similar, but high stake topic. Alright, ultimately, if you are giving an option, but this is not giving an option, you are not saying that please ask from Indo-China, alright, or please ask from Indo-US kind of relationship and the, the foreign kind of the relationship that both the countries, bilateral relationship that both the countries have. So you are actually not giving them the options. You are not saying, sir, you can ask me from Indo and US. Alright, you are not telling them that you can ask them. You are saying, I'm sorry sir, I have not read much about it, but yes, if you'll ask, I can move ahead. But I have read in detail about, when I was reading about foreign policy, about the foreign matters, I read about, Indo-China, I read about Indo-US, Indo-Russia, as well as, the war that is between Russia and Ukraine. That I have read in depth. But yes, my subject knowledge when it comes to Israel and Palestine is not that much wide as it could be for the other topics that I have told you. Now over here, I'm just answering because I don't know about Israel, Palestine, but I am giving the options to my interviewer. Okay, you can ask from this, from this, from this, from this, and all are high stakes. I'm not asking him or telling them to ask about Indo-Pakistan because everybody will know about Indo-Pakistan. right? So I'm not giving, less stake topics. I'm giving high stake topics. And that is how you propel the interview. All right, that is the art of giving the interview. There is a thread technique as well. Wherever you have an initial answer, all right, so over here you have established strong theme or concept. All right, with this you will connect it back. All right, you will connect it back. When you are answering the, you have answered something and then you are answering another question, you will connect it back to your previous reply, as I mentioned earlier. All right, so ultimately that will build a consistent pattern, that will build a narrative thread that you are talking in front of the interview board and you are saying, as I mentioned earlier or as I told earlier, and this will show that you are coherent and you have a complete control. So over here you have to connect, or you have to keep connecting new questions or new set of answers to your previous answers if you have given it in the same theme, and you have to keep the theme together. All right, you have to understand. Now over here, I will tell you my formula for the complete interview control. This is 7-pronged or 7 steps formula. The first thing is that you have to maintain steady voice, because that will project authority. So ultimately your tone should be calm. At the same time, your answers should be structured. I told you there are various ways of structuring them. There could be multi-dimensional approach. There could be past, present and future, as well as there could be, there could be a proper balancing way where you are talking about problems and solutions. All right, so you can structure the answer, organize the responses, and ultimately the structured answers will show the clarity. Then you have to use subtle hooks. You have to guide them. But at the same time, you do not have to force the direction. You are simply guiding them. You are just giving them the masala for the next question. And also, you have to keep this thinking that you are going for the administrative capacity. So you have to think in administrative way and position everything within that administrative thinking as well. Also, you have to connect to the strengths that you have. You have to steer the complete interview into your guidance, into your expertise areas, and also avoid the weak zones. Wherever they are taking you into the weak zones, you have to redirect it away from your vulnerabilities, and you have to lead gently and guide the conversation with a finesse. So that is what you need to keep in mind. This is my formula, and you can use this formula for the ultimate guidance and guiding your complete interview into your favor. All right. Ultimately, my last word of advice is again the same, that you do not control the interview by force. You control the interview by mastery, by the art of giving the interview. I always say that interview is all about the art that you learn. And this art, if you keep in mind, ultimately you will be able to guide the complete interview in your favor. And this comes through the clarity, where you are using crystal clear communication. It comes through the calmness, where you have an unshakable composure. All right, I told you how you can maintain composure through your body language as well, through your intelligence, where you are strategically thinking upon any topic, through the subtle cues that you leave in between. These are the gentle guiding clues or cues that you have left in your answers, from which you can, you can estimate that the next set of the questions will be framed. And also the administrative thinking, which is very, very important. And ultimately, if you follow this, this is how you will be scoring more than 190 marks in your interview exam, or the interview that would be held by the UPSC. So you have to keep all these things in mind. And at the same time, if you need proper guidance, more guidance, you can enroll into our interview guidance program at SRIRAM's IAS. What you need to do is, you need to call us at 9811489560. This is our number, or also you can scan and you can register for the interview guidance program at SRIRAM's IAS. So that would be all. Thank you. Bye-bye. Take care and Jai Hind. And I'll see you in the next. So till then, please do take care of yourself, and also do not forget to share this video with your friends who will be appearing for the interview for the UPSC 2025. And also do not forget to like the session and subscribe to our channel for more such future updates. Thank you. Bye-bye. Take care and Jai Hind.